Hey, what's going on, guys? Elliott and Morgan here from Movie Files, here to give you guys our non-spoiler review for Star Wars: The Last Jedi. So we saw it last night, and we want to kind of marinate on it, sleep on it. Me, myself, I want to kind of sleep on it. So we are here now to give you guys our review for those that are seeing it tonight, or this weekend, or during the Christmas break. So with that being said, let's just jump right into it. All right, so like I said up top, this is a non-spoilers review, so we just want to kind of touch on a couple big things as far as three things: characters, the direction of the film, directed and written by Rian Johnson, as well as the franchise of Star Wars and where we hope it goes and what we hope to see in the future. So with that being said, I'll start off by talking about the characters. So in particularly, I think there were some standouts with Rey, Princess Leia, Kylo Ren, and the great GOAT, the greatest of all time, Luke Skywalker. In particular with Rey, I just love how her character arc has been really beautifully done between Force Awakens and this film, and I thought they just continue to do a great job of pushing the envelope and let us know that this is the franchise key player moving forward, and many things to come for Star Wars franchise. So I just really love where Rey ended in this film, and I really look forward to things to come with her. Kylo Ren, those two in particular, Kylo Ren and Rey, had a beautiful arc in this movie. I really love Kylo Ren. Adam Driver's portrayal of Kylo Ren, kind of playing the conflicting character. As we saw from The Force Awakens, he obviously has parents within the Luke Skywalker saga, which is Princess Leia and his dad being Han Solo. I just really love where Kylo Ren ended in this film and was played in this film. And then the two really big MVPs for me were Princess Leia as well as Luke Skywalker, and I'll talk a little bit more about it in the video, but I really thought that those two brought a great performance. Princess Leia was great, and Luke Skywalker was at his best, in my personal opinion, than any Star Wars film. So what about you? Who's some characters that stood out to you?
Yeah, I mean, I'd have to say the same ones. I think also another thing that I really enjoyed about those four characters was really just the connection between all four of them that you kind of see throughout the movie. So obviously with Rey, we saw in the last film that she, left off meeting Luke Skywalker. And then, so we obviously knew there was going to be a connection there. And then in the first movie, her and Kylo Ren had this just like telepathic connection, right? So I just think Rey's just kind of connected to everyone. You can really tell in this movie and the last, they're really setting her up to kind of lead the way, as we move forward in the series. So.
Yeah. So I know we got some other awesome characters, some supporting characters. We got Snoke, which I thought this film, as you guys saw from the trailers, he had a little bit more to do in this film, and I thought that the stuff that we got went and worked pretty well. Finn, he was in the last one. Like I said, Rey and Finn were two of the best parts of The Force Awakens for me, and Finn was great in this one. I would say one of the cons, which we won't get into the story, but I thought Finn was kind of, he was front and center in The Force Awakens, which makes sense because they're introducing him. But I thought this one, they kind of took a seat back as far as the storyline. He was in the film, a lot, just as much as he was in Force Awakens. But I thought that they kind of put his growth as a character kind of on the back burner.
Yeah.
But also, with that being said, kind of a role reversal in some sorts. Poe, he got a little bit more to do in this film. He did
I really enjoyed Poe a lot. I enjoyed Finn too, but I guess I can see where you're saying where they didn't create an arc for him, I guess, in this one as they did in the first one. Yeah, so, I mean, he did some things that continue. He was an important. He was an important character in this one. And I will say another supporting cast member, Rose.
New to the franchise.
Yeah, she was new, and her and Finn and Poe kind of worked as a team, I guess you could say, through the movie. So it was really. I enjoyed all three of them.
Yeah, those were some great.
But Poe definitely, he took more of a lead this movie, which I enjoyed because in The Force Awakens, we had a point in time where we didn't even think he was alive. So
yeah, he wasn't in it as much. Yeah, so this is definitely they gave him a lot more to do. So we got some other supporting characters, newer characters to the franchise, not just Rose, but we got DJ, which I thought played a pretty solid part in the movie. Lauren Dern played a pretty good role. Just her first time in the franchise, and I thought she did well with what she was given.
Yeah, I liked her character.
General Hux, he was in another character which in The Force Awakens not as to the extent of Poe, but he didn't really get that much to do. But in this one, he was a little bit more predominantly seen on the screen and had some good moments. And this isn't a spoiler, but if you guys were looking for Captain Plasma to have a little bit more to do in this film, I think that was another con of mine. They were talking about throughout the making of the movie that she was going to have a little bit more to do, which she was in the movie. I'll say that, but I was looking for a little bit more. Was there any moments too within those characters that you like, from DJ to?
I like Lauren Dern's character. I think out of those, probably my top favorite.
Brings us on to the direction, which was written and directed by Rian Johnson, which is rare air for the franchise of Star Wars. Obviously, you have George Lucas that wrote the first one, and obviously created the universe. Yeah. But you don't really have too many people that, other than George Lucas, write and direct the film and really put his stamp on the film like Rian Johnson did, which gets into the point of, I thought he took a lot of risk in this film, and if you guys have seen some of the reviews on YouTube or just reading them on Rotten Tomatoes and whatnot, some people didn't enjoy some of the risks that he took, but I personally did. I liked that because obviously the big thing that came out of Force Awakens, what people were saying, it was kind of a rehash of The New Hope, and it was kind of redoing what a lot of the other movies did. But I thought this movie, the risk that he took, worked for me personally, and I really appreciate him taking those risks and putting his stamp, putting his own spin to the film, which I thought was really cool. What did you think about kind of the things that he brought to the film that worked for you?
I honestly, I didn't grow up on Star Wars, so Elliott kind of introduced all that to me before The Force Awakens. Yeah. And I got pretty hooked then. But I will say, just between the two, The Force Awakens, Last Jedi, I enjoyed The Force Awakens more, I think.
And I think too, because we talked about when we saw the movie, I think for you, that was your first experience with Star Wars, and the energy in the air. We were in Iowa when we saw it. It was a newscast there. It was just a new experience. And I think for a lot of people that are diehard Star Wars fans, when they saw that 1977 version of Star Wars and they saw the original trilogy, that stuck to them, and they kind of put that in there like nothing that surpasses that. So I think sometimes I don't know if you agree with me, but seeing Force Awakens for the first time, it's kind of like it was new, and this is a new chapter, but that
I guess this is what I'm growing up on, even though I'm an adult. But I don't know. I liked this one, but I definitely enjoyed The Force Awakens a lot more. I felt like the runtime was...
the runtime, it was 2.5 hours. It was the longest Star Wars ever.
Long. And I think there were some things that could have been cut out of it. I don't know. That's just me personally. But I liked it, but I definitely enjoyed The Force Awakens more. And I think maybe I enjoyed it more because I was being introduced to all of these characters. Obviously, it's a different story. Once you've already met all these characters, now you're trying to find out how they're making their way through the galaxy. Right. So, it was good, but I guess we'll get into it later.
Yeah, the point of the Rian Johnson, just the direction of the film. For me too, this was the longest Star Wars movie, and I'm a Star Wars fan. I love, you can give me a 3-hour cut, but I think to your point, you were saying it all connected. The parts, there were moments in I would say in the first half and second half that ran a little longer than what it should. And
there's a third, fourth, and fifth half for me. I don't know. I'm used to seeing.
Literally, guys, when you see the film, I think this is one of the strongest closings of any movie this year, and in the top for any Star Wars film. But there were, and when you guys see the movie, I think you'll kind of understand what we're saying. But there was some storylines that could have been eliminated by our main character, because ultimately the way it played out, they could have avoided some things. But there was a chunk in the movie that kind of felt out of place.
Yeah. And there's always, it's okay, so when you're watching a movie, they always devise a plan, right, of what they're going to do, especially when it's an action movie. So they'll devise a plan of what they're going to do, and then inevitably there's going to be something that is going to get in the way of what they're going to do. And I feel like they gave too many issues. They posed too many just things that weren't needed. It was okay, let's just get to the point and get where we need to go. So it was they encountered too many problems, I think, in some of the, I don't know. That's just me,
I understand.
Personally.
And like I said, when you guys see the film, I think you guys might agree with this. There's a particular part in the movie that just, to me, felt kind of out of place. Kind of felt like it could have been like a featurette type of thing. Like if you buy the DVDs, like follow this story. But anyway, it was a part of the movie. And to the point to the runtime, I think that the movie could have been slimmed down to maybe 10 to 15 minutes less and made a little bit more of a tighter story.
Because there was a point where, I mean, I thought the movie was going to be over and then it continued. So, I just think it was a little long. But, I mean, I just think it depends on who watches it, though, right? Because for me, I usually don't watch like over 2-hour movies.
Right, she won't watch 2-hour movies, but she'll watch a movie back to back.
I'll watch Moana like 5 times.
Yeah, and that's like
and then
6 hours worth. Yeah.
But I also am not like completely captivated while I'm watching it on repeat either. I'm usually working or doing something else. Right. So anyway, but I'm sure if you're like a diehard Star Wars fan, you're already going into it knowing it's going to be a longer movie because that's what you get with these movies, right? So it was just a little long.
Yeah, and I think, like we said, I think they could have slimmed it down. But yeah, that was a little bit of a con for me. I thought the style of the movie was really beautifully done. It was shot beautifully. Rian Johnson has done his homework. He knows what Star Wars is when it comes to the intergalactic fighting scenes. Yeah. Some of the lightsaber battles were just mind-blowing to me. Like top 3 moments type of things in Star Wars mythology that happened in this film that really worked for me as far as style. Like literally some of the lightsabers, this is some of the best lightsaber battles that you'll see in Star Wars in my opinion. So I thought
we even got a lightsaber on our way out.
Yeah, it's on the mantle. It's awesome. I'm going to practice my Jedi skills every day. Also, the last point I want to talk on was this movie was surprisingly, and this isn't a spoiler per se, but it had some comedic moments. Yeah, this is one of the funniest.
And they didn't try hard, which I think that is one thing in a movie like this. There are times where you can definitely tell it's forced. For me, Elliott's going to disagree, but like DC, I feel like sometimes with this past movie, Justice League, it was like forced humor, and it's like, all right, you're not funny. Yeah. But this was like legit. Like they did a good job of actually putting it in the right spots, and even in like tense moments, there was some humor. And it was just like, it was funny. It wasn't forced.
Well, I think to your point, to bring up Justice League, if I can find a way to bring up Justice League and DC, sure, I'll bring it in. But to your point, I think that we come to expect this from, unlike Justice League, we didn't really get some of the characters, introduce characters, and some characters that we saw, it was like where it came out of left field. But like for Force Awakens, we knew that Poe and Finn had comedic moments, Rey had comedic moments, so we can it wasn't unexpected.
Well, obviously, yes, we're talking about Star Wars, but I just need to rub this in his face. Marvel does a better job of comedy than DC. So anyway,
sure, all right. That's your opinion.
Moving forward, they had really great, funny moments. So.
Yeah, and you brought up too, which I thought was a little bit of a con for me. I know you said that there were tense moments they brought up comedy, which for me didn't work in some points when you're like supposed to be serious, and then it's like thrown in as levity or a joke.
I didn't feel like it was forced though. Like I just
not forced. Felt that there was some points in the film where they brought comedy in where it should just be a little bit more straightforward. And there's a part that you guys will see like right off the bat in the movie that was a comedy moment,
a serious moment.
You were hoping for it to be serious, a little bit more serious than when it was.
But it was a little silly. Yeah.
But I thought the comedy worked overall. I thought it was one of the more funnier Star Wars movies that we've gotten, which I thought worked at that point.
I mean, now that I'm thinking about it, over that 2.5 hours, almost, Jesus Christ, it was so long. But anyway, I laughed a lot, surprisingly. Like, and the whole audience did. Yeah, and it was an experience, a communal experience.
One of the few movies that can touch any generation.
I mean, somebody brought a lightsaber, like a legit, like Comic-Con lightsaber into the movie theater, and like right when it started, they like turned it on, and everybody clapped.
And also to Porgs, I thought the Porgs worked.
Oh,
they're going to be a hot toy, a hot commodity.
And they were really cute, and there were little like wolves or like little dogs. The frost,
that reminded us of dogs. Yeah, it was some Rian Johnson's choice on style and direction and risk. It was a great Star Wars film to me, and he introduced some really cool things. So that leads us to our final last parts of this review here is the saga moving forward. So I guess for me, Episode 9, knowing that we got the news that J.J. Abrams is coming back to the Star Wars franchise, which is kind of new for him as a director. He's done sequels, Star Trek, and things like that, but this will be his first time kind of closing a franchise, or not closing a franchise, but closing the the 3-part type of saga. Thank you. With 7, 8, and 9. So I know you say you like Force Awakens better. So I guess my question for you is, do you want Episode 9 to be more of a J.J. Abrams type of feel, a little bit of what we got Rian Johnson, or a mixture of both? Like, what are you expecting for the 9th episode?
I don't know. I think maybe a mixture of the two would be nice as we move forward, because I don't know. Obviously, now we have one of each, so I think a mixture of the two would be good. Because Rian Johnson, I do like the comedic moments that he brought to it. I feel like the first one was a little more serious, from what I remember. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think I think this movie was a little bit more, had more stakes and had a little bit more bigger decisions that were made and consequences that will literally change the franchise moving forward, and some characters that you can think about. He changed some of the mythology, which can work for others, and some people enjoyed it. But I think for me, going into Episode 9, I'm excited for what JJ has. I'm a JJ Abrams fan from Mission Impossible, what he did with that franchise, starting the Star Trek franchise over. I know some people don't like Into Darkness, but I did. But I'm a JJ fan, so I'm excited to see what he's going to bring to the table with Episode 9, and also just the continuation of our favorite characters that we got in the love.
I don't think this is a spoiler. I don't know. Elliot always gives me these looks when I.
If it's a spoiler, I'll cut it out. But yeah, go ahead.
Not even if spoiler. He just looks at me like, "What are you talking about?" Anyway, I think they kind of like they're trying to say this in a right way. I don't know.
Sure.
There were some endings in this movie, so some loose ends.
I think
moving forward.
Yeah, I think what you're there was some there's some passing the torch, I guess you can say.
Passing the
torch.
And
that's not a spoiler. I mean, that's what you come to expect with any movie that has so many sequels to it, is that you want to see characters move on and get in a different position. And I think they did.
But I think that will be I think they did handle it well. But I think that will be interesting moving forward, because obviously it's just gonna be a little different.
And I mean, to that point, they some characters are now going to be in a leadership role. That's the thing about this movie, and not giving away the story, but this story really does touch on leadership and growing into, they talk about it.
I feel like we're at work. Yeah. Moving into a leadership role.
Yeah, I mean, no, seriously, the characters are moving into a position that I'm looking forward to Episode 9. And then we also got Han Solo, which, for those
I'm excited. I love Childish Gambino, Donald Glover, so I'm excited about it.
I mean, and when you guys you would have seen the trailer by now, but there was no trailer for Han Solo. I was expecting that, so, but we got Han Solo coming out in May, so we get another Star Wars film in less than 6 months.
Which I think that makes everybody happy.
Yeah.
I think they're doing such a nice job of, like, keeping us,
the stories, or sprinkling in the, so funny.
I haven't heard that.
Sprinkle?
Tinkling?
Well, that's not what I'm going to say. I'm going to say sprinkling in these side. She thinks it's hilarious.
That's so funny.
Yeah, she sprinkling in these side stories, and then of course continuing on with the main saga. So with that, let's leave our score. For me, I'm giving it an 8.8 out of 10. It's not a perfect movie, but it's also not a it's satisfying. It's like, literally, I had so many great moments with this film, and again, I want to get more into it with the spoilers review we'll do this weekend, but there are literally some phenomenal Star Wars moments for some of your favorite characters and new characters. So for me, I'm giving it an 8.8. I think one of the things, again, the con was some of the storylines could have been slimmed down and maybe even possibly taken out. The runtime could have been a little bit shorter. But and also and I'll get this in the spoiler, but some decisions they made didn't work for me. But overall, I think it's a really great Star Wars film for those that are new to the franchise, and for those that are diehard fans. You got to keep in mind, I know people always say it's not my Star Wars, or it's not my franchise, it isn't, because you're not making it, shooting it, directing it. Of course, you have your movie that you enjoy, but you always got to put yourself in the mindset. This is a new movie. This is a new take. And of course,
and how great for them to bring something back that was so well received and loved, So for the new generation kids,
this is like you said, Force Awakens.
And it's a very, I think like this movie represents so many amazing things. Even the series from when I wasn't even alive, but the empowerment of women, and
you got Rey as a main character,
and Princess Leia, and how she had so much respect, and it just is an incredible movie, and you know, I'm glad that they brought it back. I think it's important for us to be able to have great movies like this.
Yeah. And I mean, Disney just keeps knocking out
instead
of
like
yeah.
Justice League movies. So I'm joking. I'm sorry.
Yeah, DC's struggling, we know that, but this is
anyway.
Yeah,
it's just to your point, saying it's not my Star Wars, whatever, not my president. I don't know, but anyway, it's just like, it's so great. I love it. I really enjoy it. Well, usually we do this like going to the movie. Is it?
I think it's without a question. You go see it. But yeah, what would you score it? Normally, like numbers. You said, yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna give it. I'm not gonna give it an 8.8. I'm gonna do a 7. Is where I would land with it. I did enjoy it, but I do think the runtime was a little longer for my taste. And I think I enjoyed J.J. Abrams' style a little more in The Force Awakens. But overall, it was a good movie. And go see it. Like, you actually probably should have already seen it by now, because it's going to be really hard to keep things non-spoiler out there. So if you don't want... I mean, there were some spoilers kind of out there before. I know Finn, he had or John Boyega had an interview, and some spoilers kind of leaked there by accident. But definitely go see it now. Otherwise, you're probably going to hear some things that... And I think if you're a diehard Star Wars fan, you probably already have seen it by now. But yeah, definitely go see it. It's a great movie, I think, for the whole family. So it's got a little something for everybody. Yeah.
So 8.8 for me, 7 for Morgan. But we would love to know what you guys thought of the film. For those that have seen it, for those that are seeing tonight or this weekend, watch this video this weekend. Let us know what you thought. Again, we'll have a spoilers review probably later this weekend or possibly on Monday. But we would love to know what you guys saw of the film, as well as just leave your comments below on your thoughts on the film and the things that are to come for the rest of the Star Wars franchise. And then, of course, like and share this video and follow us on our social media accounts on Instagram at Movie Files and on Twitter at Movie Files Live. And we're also on Stardust. So if you guys have a Stardust app, we are at Movie Files on that for our reactions for things. But again, guys, thanks for tuning in.
Yes, thanks for watching. Enjoy it. Yeah. It's such a good movie. Go see it.
Go check it out. So yeah, thanks for watching Movie Files, and we will see you guys again soon. Hey guys, thanks for watching that video. We really appreciate it. Go ahead and like and share this video, as well as subscribe to our page, because we have some other awesome reviews here and TV show reviews. So we really appreciate it if you guys would watch our movie reviews and our TV reviews, and of course subscribe to our channel. And as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys again soon.